Welcome to Furious Fiction. I'm Jules Graham, and with me is Mark Mustin. And who are we talking to today?
We're talking to Amber Dermont. She's the author of The Starboard Sea and Damage Control. Welcome, Amber. And you're in Iowa now, right? You're usually in Georgia, but now you're teaching in Iowa?
Yes, it's actually a busy summer for me. I just moved from Atlanta, and I'm spending the summer teaching at the Iowa Writers Workshop, where I was a student. And then I'm moving to Houston, Texas, to teach at Rice University in the fall.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks so much for doing this. And we're going to talk about both of these, both the story collection and the novel. The novel is The Starboard Sea, and it's set in a boarding school, a kind of a prep school, and is a pretty serious novel. And then the story collection has all this humor in it. And so I'm just kind of wondering, if it was intentionally done that way, or that's kind of the way it worked out, or just, how time-wise, how did you do all that?
Well, it's funny because I think that the relationship between a story and the story's tone are very important. And there are moments of levity and humor in The Starboard Sea. There are attempts on every page to make you laugh and make you cry. But the collection, I think the stories there's a greater desire to satirize, and you satirize things that you care a tremendous amount about. So hopefully the humor serves some greater cause and isn't just sort of light or easy.
I enjoyed reading The Starboard Sea very much. I enjoyed the bird's eye view you have into this very elite, prestigious school where these boys and girls have so little regard for each other's life and lives or thoughts or feelings. It's sort of very depressing at the same time that they felt like that. Was this a deliberate attempt to see this is what happens with immense wealth, especially as it was said after the stock market crash?
I did want to write about unchecked privilege, and it was a very painful book for me to write, and it's always sort of heartbreaking when someone tells you it was, so sad to read, because I want to say, like, imagine what it was like to be in that world and, to not only have witnessed things as an adolescent, but then to try to reconcile them as an adult. And, I think ultimately there's hope that the main character is somebody who's committed, terrible transgressions and really done great harm to people that he loves, but he also wants always to be better, and he really has a complex relationship to his friends, his family, and sailing. And by the end of the novel, my hope is that he's achieved some moment of grace, and that's really where the heart of the book rests, I think.
Well, are you a sailor? Because the sailing descriptions and terminology. I mean, I would assume you grew up from the age of 2 on a boat. Is that true?
I grew up on Cape Cod, and so I grew up with a really immediate relationship to the water and to the wind and to sailing and to when I was little, my parents would take us to the Whaling Museum in New Bedford all the time. And I remember, Herman Melville was very real to me. And there was a time when you could actually see his signature on the log where he signed in, to take his journey.
Well, that was the interesting thing for me, because it was so clear that you had such a deep knowledge of sailing, and the main character, that was the only part of his life where he absolutely was in control.
Yes.
He knew it all, but at the same time, that's also where some of the most tragic things happened.
Absolutely. And I think you have to have that sort of heightened relationship between the thing that you excel at and then, the ways in which potentially that can be taken away from you. So that when the book starts, he's lost his sailing partner, and he isn't sure that he wants to sail anymore, because when you sail on these little dinghies, it's such an intimate relationship. It's every motion of your body affects the boat and affects your partner. And so he's had this intimate relationship with his partner and lost him, and now he doesn't know that he can recreate it again, and he isn't sure that he wants to. So the book begins with this sense of loss.
Just before we have to go, just real quick on damage control, and I know this is an unfair question to ask an author, but here we are asking it anyway. Do you have a favorite of the stories that are there, and is there something that just calls to you more than another?
Well, it's funny. My father has a favorite. His favorite is a story called A Splendid Wife, which is sort of ironic because it's a story about all of these wives that go missing. And so my mother is always sort of, questioning why that's his favorite. But I think the stories that, each one comes out of my own view of the world. And so each one has a story behind it. That's really only interesting probably to me.
Well, Amber, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. We enjoyed the book and we look forward to reading more from you.
Thank you so much.
Amber, thanks so much. Good luck this summer and next year.
Thank you.
And join us next time on Furious Fiction.